Hello everyone, my name is China Thomas and today I'm here to talk to you about institutional racism and how it still affects today's society. Institutional racism, what is it? Is it black against white? Is it men against women? Is it the educated and privileged against the uneducated and poor? Institutional racism is discrimination that has become established as normal behavior within a society or organization. But how does this affect you? It is found in politics, education, criminal justice, employment, housing, healthcare, and even religion. This particular subject plays a big role in my life. For starters, I'm African American. I already have a stigma on me because of the color of my skin. I also grew up in low-income housing, and I'm a mother. Not only am I a mother, I'm a mother to 3 boys, and I have to raise them to not be a statistic. I also have to raise them in a world where they're constantly being judged. Now I'm going to talk to you about institutional racism. We're going to talk about it in the criminal justice setting, we're going to talk about it in the workplace, and we're going to talk about current events on how it is affecting us globally and as a nation. The most known type of institutional racism is in the criminal justice setting. This ranges from routine traffic stops to longer jail sentences for people of color. According to the Bureau of Justice, black men were twice as likely to get stopped versus white or Hispanic. This, known to most black people, is driving while black. And to clarify what driving while black is basically saying that I'm speeding, but also someone that's not my skin color is speeding as well. Before an officer would stop that other person, they're more than likely to stop me. And them stopping me can also lead to a search for no reason. A lot of black people that get stopped always get the notion of the car smells like marijuana. So if the car smells like marijuana, whether it does or not, the officer can automatically search your car. This leads to my first example, which is Maurice Gordon. Maurice Gordon was killed during a routine traffic stop in New Jersey on May 23rd, 2020. According to the New York Times, he got into an altercation with the officer and was shot 6 times. Now, most people will argue that Maurice may have been committing a crime and that's why the officer shot him. But isn't our police officers taught to shoot to injure and not shoot to kill? Which leads to my next subject, which is sentencing. According to the U.S. Sentencing Commission, black male offenders continue to receive longer sentences than white male offenders by 19.1% from the years 2012 to 2016. This is mostly caused by the Supreme Court case U.S. versus Booker, which permitted judges to enhance an offender's sentence based on facts by their own judgment. This is basically saying that a judge can convict you of a longer sentences because of what they believe the type of person that you are, which is unconstitutional. Institutional racism also occurs in the workplace, not only with race, but men against women, which leads to microaggression. What is microaggression? Have you ever heard of it? Microaggression is the modern form of racism, according to Jonathan Cantor, which is a director of Center for the Science of Connection in Seattle. Microaggression is complimenting someone based on their races, as the examples I've provided. You have a young black woman holding up a sign saying, "You're the whitest black person I know." You also have people of different professions. For example, the doctor. She's holding up a sign saying, "Nurse, can you find me a doctor?" You have the Asian American with someone asking her, "Do you speak English?" You also have the Latin American doctor with someone asking him, "Are there any doctors from America here?" As far as institutional racism between sexes goes, we often refer to male-dominated careers like politics. For example, we have not yet have a woman in office as president. You also have female-dominated careers, which leads back to my example of someone thinking that the doctor was a nurse because of her sex. And you also have the sexual harassment claims, which is basically someone always saying that that person got into that position due to their sex. For example, a woman using sexual relations to get a higher position is often an excuse people say if a woman is higher than a man. We know of institutional racism cases that affected us nationally. This includes the George Floyd case, where George Floyd was held down by an officer for 8 minutes. And it has enhanced the I Can't Breathe movement, as well as several protests around the United States, which has led to looting, destruction of businesses, and has led to different laws being made due to George Floyd being suffocated by a police officer. We also have Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor was shot 8 times by a police officer during a police raid, and her particular case has led to a new law called Breonna's Law, which says that an officer cannot enter without knocking first, even with a warrant. As far as global institutional racism, my first example is the Holocaust, where you have the Nazis versus the Jews, which I'm pretty sure everyone already knows about that subject, but it's basically when Adolf Hitler was trying to make one particular race, one particular religion, and he was against anyone who was against him and didn't look a certain way. You also have sex trafficking. We have child labor. We also have racism. More recently, we have racism against Asian Americans due to COVID-19, which is provided in, sorry, the example's not on there. But to summarize, institutional racism plays a big part of our society, especially now within the global protests, the politics, and the Black Lives Matter movement. Discrimination against people of color, but also men and women, still exists in our society today. It doesn't stop just in the criminal justice setting or the workplace. It affects us in all aspects of life. So now that you are well informed on institutional racism, what's next? Do we make a new law? Do we continue to speak out on the injustice? How can we change as a society? What we can conclude is that it would take more than one person, it would take more than one action. It would take us all standing together to reverse the detrimental mishaps of institutional racism. Let us stand up and do something now better for our generations to come. And let's deal with the same injustices that has been going on for years and years. And let's put a stop to institutional racism. Thank you for listening.